Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday, October 19th, noon with 10 minutes. That means it's time for the Rotary Club of Louisville to convene. Welcome, everyone. Tony Kemper, head of the DePaul School, president of our club. Please welcome Ken Middleton, Rotarian of the Year 2013-2014, Service Above Self recipient, Paul Harris Fellow, chair of our club's Service Projects Committee, and in his spare time, a consultant in communications and strategic planning. Ken will deliver today's invocation.
Let us pray.
Owner of Executive Image Custom Clothier and past recipient of our club's Service Above Self Award. Ken?
Thank you, Tony. First, I just wanted to clarify on the soccer tickets. Actually, this is their first playoff game for Louisville City Soccer. It's Friday night, 7:30, and Louisville City won their regular season, and there's a lot of energy and excitement out there, so hopefully the tickets get used. They're great seats. So also, I do want to have a little commercial. I know you're not supposed to do that, Tony, but as chair of the Speakers Committee, I just want to remind everyone, we look at and follow the surveys really closely. We want your feedback, and Clint Scharf is our vice chair who's in charge of really going through the numbers, but we want your feedback, both good and bad. If there's something you think we can do better, let us know. We really look at the comments. And all the speakers that are rated real highly are the ones that I scheduled. The ones that aren't so good were some of the other committee members. But let us know how we're doing. I know we're going to have a stellar speaker today. And I'm honored to introduce my friend Debra Hoffer, who is the president of Junior Achievement. Of course, we know Debra as that incredibly joyful singer in the Rocking Rotary Band. And over the years, I've gotten to appreciate Debra for her warm nature, her positive spirit, and passion for doing good. She's a smiling example of the wonderful people in our club, and she's just one of the reasons that I love being a member of Rotary. As luck would have it, Debra and I have something other than Rotary in common. We both graduated with bachelor's degrees from Indiana University Bloomington in 1979. No, you're not going to hear any U of L stories today. Debra actually started her college career as a vocal performance major, and she decided to do something less self-centered and more to help people, so she completed her MA in Arts Administration at IU. Debra led 2 prominent local arts organizations for 2 decades. She loves the aspect of introducing the arts to kids so the arts could be part of their lives forever. When the JA position became available, it was a perfect fit. And Debra says, and I quote, "I am so passionate about helping kids improve their lives and can't think of a better privilege than helping them to become financially literate, career ready, and able to think entrepreneurially. I love my job." Under Debra's leadership, JA of Kentuckiana has received numerous awards, including Nonprofit Business of the Year from Business First, the MetLife Outstanding Entrepreneurship International Award, and the Art of Excellence in Vision Award from the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. As Debra says, now's the time when what JA teaches has never been more important. Here's Debra to tell us why.
Thank you so much, Ken. It is truly an honor to be here today. And, you know, I'll just give the Speakers Committee kudos for naming October Education Month, because we are going to hear a little bit about JA today. And the true hero, I think you'll learn next week, is Dr. Marty Polio, who is just killing it as interim superintendent, and I think you'll be very impressed. And the club's commitment to education I've been aware of from my very first day here, and I applaud you all for that and am grateful for that. And one final thing that I'm grateful for that I need to mention is that it's really neat to be at the microphone in the front of the room for a change. So I guess this is the big girl microphone, right? I'm going to start out telling you a little bit about Dallas. just a little bit. This young man's name is Dallas. He is a Louisville resident. He goes to Carrick Elementary, which has a free and reduced lunch rate of 70%. And this is a picture of Dallas at J.A. Biztown. I wake up every morning thinking about Dallas and his friends, and I think, you all do provide some service or good, and the club provides good. It always helps to be able to put a face to what you're doing and a name, and it's so much more inspirational to me when I can think about Dallas when I report to the office. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jay in the context of a serious issue in our community. You may have read the Greater Louisville Project's report to the community. It's about a year ago. We have some serious challenges with poverty. We have an alarming statistic where we were third. Louisville was third from the worst among 17 peer cities that we compare ourselves to in terms of concentrated poverty. What that means, and this number is just really hard for me to even fathom, is that 1 in 7 Louisvillians lives in poverty. The Russell neighborhood, where Junior Achievement's office is, the JA Center, is the third poorest of 3,228 census tracts in the 17 peer cities. So it's serious for more than one reason. I mean, obviously, we don't want anybody to live in poverty. But there's another horrible outcome from poverty, and I know that President Alice thinks about this in her work in developing the passport location in the West End. Poverty causes lives that are 10 years shorter than those who live in the least impoverished areas of our community. So the average life in the Russell neighborhood is 10 years shorter than the average life in Indian Hills. So what this shows is that low education leads to unemployment. I mean, this is how it works. Low education leads to unemployment, leads to low income, leads to poor health. So, I come into contact with a lot of business people, a lot of leaders of the community, a lot of parents and kids, and they say, well, why don't these people just go get a job? Why don't they get a job? Why don't they work? Well, it's not as simple as that. As Mayor Fisher commented on the Greater Louisville Project's report, it makes it clear to us that concentrated poverty does more than just keeping residents from their full potential. It causes a deficit of hope. It's not just periodic poverty. Some years aren't better necessarily in the Russell neighborhood than others, but it's generational poverty. And the JA building in the heart of the Russell community, what we see is that there really isn't a middle class there anymore. And one way that you can get yourself up out of poverty is to be inspired by somebody who lives near you, who you may want to be like, and you may say, I want to go to college and I would be like that person. But there's just a sense of hopelessness. So this generational poverty, it's obviously more than one generation. Sense of hopelessness, it's harder to plan your way out without hope. Can you imagine having no hope? I mean, I'm sure there's some hope, but when it comes to, propelling yourself out of this circumstance, there's not a lot of extra hope to go around. And it's just a matter of survival rather than being able to plan a career. So the other thing that is shocking to me is that out of the individuals who live in poverty, 35,800 of them are kids. And what this number means is 22% of those under 18 are living in poverty, and they can't do a darn thing about it. They are working to survive. Their guardians or their parents or who they're living with and taking care of them are surviving. Well, the fact is that every day there are thousands of students in our schools who are bright, who have potential, and who are brought down by their daily circumstances. It's difficult to aspire to something greater when you have no point of reference in your day-to-day life. For many disadvantaged young people, that's too big of an obstacle to overcome. So what can we do about it? I know you as Rotarians know a lot about how to help young people and the power of mentoring, the power of helping to show young people hope. But I'd like to explain a little bit about how JA works to help kids leave poverty behind. So what we know about self-motivation to rise above circumstances comes back to your belief in self. This can be promoted through gaining knowledge and influencing attitude, which is impacted for better or for worse by the environment. Positive influences in the environment can promote a positive change in behavior. The scientific term for this is self-efficacy, a belief that plans will turn into action, which then propels individuals to future success. There's been a lot of research on this. Confidence in their own self-effectiveness leads individuals to work hard in spite of disappointments and failures. That was researched by the renowned psychologist Albert Bandura. So in Knoxville, Tennessee, there was a Pulitzer Prize winning or nominated series called The Poverty Puzzle. And they made the point that self-efficacy is highly predictive of performance and a better predictor of success than skills or past accomplishment, influencing everything from school dropout rates, resilience in children, to work performance as adults. So I guarantee if we lift our individuals who are living in poverty out of that state, you're going to have better workers. So without getting too scientific, this is a model for behavioral change that has been studied for more than 40 years, and it is the theory of planned behavior. It is also a model that applies to junior achievement. So, junior achievement is a big part of the solution. We bring supportive volunteers from the community into the classroom and into our learning laboratories to share their experience with students. These volunteers, who are usually part of a business, of their employee volunteer program or community, members of community organizations, use JA's proven programs to help inspire and prepare young people for success. JA's work teaches knowledge in 3 pillars of education: financial literacy, work readiness, which also includes career planning, and personal success skills, which some call soft skills, and entrepreneurship. We help kids understand how money works, how to perform in the workplace. You know, we talk about showing up on time, how to handle the environment of the workplace. And also we tell them, we share with them how you can start a business and you can work for yourself and you can employ others. We do this through in the classroom, and it's a combination of work that we do also in JA BizTown and JA Finance Park, the learning laboratories. So this combination of knowledge and inspiration can help move young people from a mindset of I can't to I can. So volunteers inspire, programs prepare young people for success. Junior achievement inspires and prepares young people for success in the global economy, which is our mission. I'm going to show a short 1 minute and 50-second video, and then I'm going to wrap up. Oops. Okay. So how do we get the video? You want to click? Thank you. So it's a great time to work at JA because I feel really needed, and I know our staff feels really needed, but it's really a statement that's kind of sad that we're so needed. There's so much work to do. We have grown over 127% over the past decade. It's like 27,000 students compared to 63,000 students a year now. We have 3,600 volunteers. We serve entire grades in districts. We have partnerships with the Jefferson County Public Schools Board of Education, with other districts, Southern Indiana and surrounding counties, so we are a systemic solution. That is one of our strengths, because I can tell a superintendent, yes, it'll take a little time, but we can reach every one of your third graders, fifth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders in any given year, in every year. And we have what we call the JA pipeline. So our strategy locally with our board of 70 wonderful, caring individuals, we've made the commitment to work to serve every young person 5 times in their school careers, public, private, and parochial. So the goal is to do this through elementary classroom. We're at about 90%, reaching 90% of the kids in the region, or in the Louisville MSA, plus a couple of counties outside each year, at least once when they're in elementary school. With JA BizTown, which is the city that's built for kids and run by kids, it's a rite of passage for 5th graders where they're assigned a job and they get to be a CEO or a CPA or a police officer or an LG&E utility person, and they take it very seriously, and they run their business, and they work to make a profit, and they're happy when they do at the end of the day. Junior Achievement Finance Park is the personal budgeting simulation. We have to show young people what to do with their paychecks once they get them, because it's very easy for all of us to fall into bad spending habits. Most people who I take on tours through the building say, gee, I wish I'd had that. And you know what? I wish I had had that, because I went through my period of time where I spent every raise I ever got in my 20s on stuff that I didn't need. JA, and has anybody else done that? Yes, somebody has done that, right? Okay, so then JA Inspire is a brand new program that we have developed locally, and it has now become a national program, I'm happy to say. We have rented the fairgrounds, which I never thought I would do, the South Hall, and it's actually next week. We will serve 10,000 students there in a week. We have 80 business exhibitors who have stepped forward. They're bringing groups of mentors and interactive exhibits so that they can inspire 8th graders on career options. So we have, everybody from GE to Ford to Mortenson Dental, chemical companies, advertising agencies, and their WDRB is going to do live broadcasting and have the green screen so kids can try that out. So the whole goal is that when they're in 8th grade, we want to help them get some career direction so they won't waste their high school years, but they'll take classes that will help get them to where they want to be. So that's next year. And then in high school, we have job shadows where we place classrooms in workplaces, and we have classroom programs that teach the content of our 3 pillars. So a little bit, a couple of facts. You saw the alumni statistics. I'm just going to flash them up there. We've done research, so we know that JA has an impact. Our alumni are 1 in 3 credit JA for influencing their career decisions. 93% of our alumni have graduated from high school. 67% are more likely to have an advanced degree. Their household income is 20% greater than the general population, and they are 143% more likely to be involved in entrepreneurial activities. So back to my friend Dallas. Quick story about Dallas. So I work on our annual report. I like to do the design with our designer and put the content together, and I was looking for a great photo of a local child to be on the cover of the annual report. It's right here. This is Dallas. I had a photo of a child from St. Louis who had the same hat on. Well, it was ready to go to press. And one of our staff noticed that a teacher had just posted Dallas's photo on our Facebook account. And I said, we have got to stop the presses. We have got to put that child, because he is perfect. I mean, he is the one who I want to wake up thinking about helping. So I sent an email quickly to his teacher, and I said, can you get an answer for me, tonight, on whether he can be on this annual report? And so within 2 hours, he wrote back to me and said, I spoke with his aunt, and she said, yes, he can be on your annual report. So once we got these printed, I thought, I need to go to that school. I want to meet this boy. So I took a big pile of the annual reports. The counselor pulled me aside and said, I want to tell you something. And I said, what? And she said, he wasn't going to get to come that day because of his behavior. But I drove him in my car because I wanted him to have the experience. And when I put best day ever under his picture on Facebook, I meant it. That was his best day ever. He was engaged. He interacted with all the students. He was well behaved, and I believe that this experience changed him. So when I saw him walking down the hall, he was in the line with the other kids. I went up to him and I introduced myself and showed him his picture, and he said, wow, he was so excited to see. And all the kids surrounded him, and he was a rock star. He was feeling really special. He was feeling confident. And so I just feel that I have such a privilege to be able to work with my board and the team, the staff team, and our volunteers, and our donors, and everybody who helps JA, because I really can't think of anything more valuable than to help make Dallas and his friends and all the other kids in our community who live in poverty or who live in wealth, to make them all rock stars and to give them hope for the future and to help them feel and believe I can do this rather than I can't. Thank you.
as powerful. This question isn't for the tickets, but I'm just curious. How many learned something about the scope and the reach and the breadth of JA that you did not know? Isn't that amazing? It is now time for questions. Tracy.
Hey, Deborah.
Hey, Tracy.
Tracy Holliday, Cabbage Patch. You mentioned the term alumni several times, and it's very impressive statistics about the alumni. Can you define exactly how you classify a child as an alumni?
Yes, it was a national study that was sent out, all the JA areas. They were self-identified alumni, so all the JA areas had the names of all of the people who said that, yeah, I had JA, and we all worked for a long time to get all the names we could possibly get. They were adults, obviously, and that data then was crunched by the national office, and that's how the information was gathered. But as an aside, and I think it's good to ask this question. I should have said it. I should have given you information. We do third-party evaluations on all of our programs also, so this isn't the only proof of impact that we have, but we do formative and summative evaluations, so we study the programs while they are being tested and then when they hit the market, and so they are shown to have significant learning, and if there are things we need to fix and make them more powerful, we do. Thank you.
Neville Blakemore, hello.
Hello.
Following up on the alumni question, on average, how much exposure does a child get to JA? I mean, is it you mentioned the different grade points, but is that 5 experiences total, and sort of what's the cumulative hours?
Good question.
And then secondly, and again related to the alumni, of 100 children who actually engage JA, what percentage would actually then say, I'm an alum?
Well, okay, the second question first. I think that varies by geographical area. Junior achievement in the Louisville area has made this longitudinal commitment to reach every child. So I guarantee, I speak to high school students often, and I say, how many of you have been through JA? And because they've had JA multiple times, they say, yes, I have. So I think it depends. Not every JA tries to serve every child multiple times. Some of them just say, well, let's grow wherever we can, but we've tried to be more systematic about it. And the first question was?
So you have the different grades.
Oh, the number of instructional contact hours. Okay. Louisville has an average instructional contact hour, which means an hour of being with a volunteer, an hour of being with a learning lab, or an hour of preparing for being in the learning lab, of 10.8 instructional contact hours per year. So with the 5 interventions, that would end up being more than 50 hours of junior achievement by the time they graduate.
Larry?
Larry Sloan, and it was a great presentation. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
My question is, do you know the percentage of students who are in the most impoverished areas of this city and also in the least impoverished, as you put it?
Okay. Junior achievement serves all of Jefferson County Public Schools? Or, do you mean,
Yeah, population-wise.
How many live in poverty?
Yeah, how many live in poverty?
22% of the students, the young people in Jefferson County live in poverty.
Right, but in your program?
Oh, and we serve them all.
Well,
That's the
yeah.
good thing, because we have this partnership with Jefferson County Public
Right.
Schools,
I'm just-
so we have access to all of their students.
Right, I understand that.
Okay.
But what my question is do you know the percentage of the students you serve who come from the impoverished areas of the city? It might be hard to do because of busing, versus the students who come from the least impoverished areas, the Indian Hills areas, say.
Okay, well, I'm not answering the question you're trying to ask, but since we have the partnership with the district, we serve 100% of the kids, and 22% of them live in poverty.
So are you saying 100% of all the students in Jefferson County take part in the Jefferson
Yes.
JA?
Yes.
100%?
All of, well, in their given years.
Oh.
So once in elementary school with a classroom program of 5 lessons, then all of them participate in JA BizTown in 5th grade.
Okay.
All of them participate in Finance Park in 7th grade. And then we're at about 50% of high school students at least once during high school, and
Oh,
we're
that's
trying to
great.
grow that.
But so when I was in JA, it was a volunteer. You joined it if you wanted to.
Right.
So
It's not optional now because their teachers make, the district makes the decision that they need it.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Clark, could you tell us a little bit about your volunteer network and who volunteers and how do they volunteer and what do they do, and where could anybody in Rotary that might want to kind of talk to you about that go and learn about that?
Thank you. I did not pay him to ask that question, but I am so grateful that you did. The greatest need now are for volunteers for high school classrooms to teach financial literacy, soft skills, success skills, and our entrepreneurship programs. So the way that you would volunteer with JA is you would look at that little, the little stand-up card, and there's a phone number to call. And if you have interest in volunteering, and we have elementary and high, but a lot of our volunteers come from companies. So companies may say, well, we're going to pull together 8 people, and we're all going to go to Carrick Elementary and serve their entire 3rd grade. We would train the volunteers, and they could actually do that in a morning. So you're a group of 8 volunteers. But if you are brave enough and passionate enough to want to reach high school students, we would train you and we would place you in a classroom with a teacher with a program that you would teach for an hour a week for 5 to 7 weeks.
James, our final question.
Yes, James Kelly, and it is bravery working with high school students. I've got 2 myself that are in high school right now. So, but my question is, and I thank you for the presentation, and of course, addressing some of the issues that are ailing the impoverished parts of our city, and a lot of times they know their situation. Is there any content in the training that helps raise awareness to the kids that maybe don't come from impoverished situations to have heightened sensitivity to the distinct differences or the disparities that they experience, in different lives? I know there's a great video out right now that shows a race, and he starts separating the kids by saying, if you've never had to worry about whether or not you eat, you're going to eat when you get home from school and things of that nature, and they look at the gap between those that are still at the front line to all the way up, 20, 30 yards ahead, but they still got to run the same financial race. Is there any content in the training that helps with that?
Not per se, no. I mean, we focus on our 3 pillars, the work readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. But I know there's a need for that, and I believe that it needs to be addressed. We only have so much bandwidth and so much time, so we're imparting all the lessons that we can in our own curriculum. So we don't train children to do that. We just don't. But if you'd like to start a nonprofit to do that, I will help you out, and we will partner.
And that question was prescient because the question for the tickets speaks to awareness. So thank you for teeing that up. Debra Hoffer, what a fantastic job. Greg Braun, about 30 seconds. Could you please quickly remind us of the new member event and club event that was just announced this week so that we can all be excited and start going through our files to see which prospective new members we're going to bring?
Really quick, at Thomas Edison Museum, if you don't know, if you've never been there, it's a really quaint museum on Washington Street. It's where Thomas Edison lived for a year before he got fired, believe it or not. He actually lived in Louisville. So it replicates his area, but it has a lot of inventions, and you can touch and play and everything. It's really cool if you haven't been there. So I talked to them about having this event, and we will have food, cocktails, some surprises, and there's a couple businesses that are adjacent that have offered to open up their doors so that we could walk into there. If you haven't been there in about 10, 15 years, it used to be right in the middle of a blighted area, and now it's right in the center of this blossoming development. So take an opportunity to catch Butchertown area, and that'll be the event, November
that's
14th. Tuesday, November 14th.
Tuesday, November 14th. Thank you, Greg, very much. Deborah, again, that was a fabulous presentation. Quick points again. Remember, we have the hard copy of the membership directory. Please double check if you've noticed that there needs to be a change. Nominating committee, we meet immediately after the meeting on that side of the meeting room. And here's your question. The first person that comes forth with an answer, please only if, not to show off your trivia skills, but only if you can use these tickets. It's a missing number question. 1 in blank Louisvillians lives in poverty. Please come up and tell me. This meeting is adjourned.